Hello YouTubers, I thought I'm going to talk a few words about the phenomenon, the locked groove. You know, when for some reason the artist have decided to put a little recording into the groove that stops the stylus from rushing out onto the label. Well, the most famous example is of course Sgt. Pepper, where they have the locked groove after a day in the life. There's so many stories about this locked groove, about if you play it backwards, it says this and that, and you know, everything that happens around the Beatles makes great fuss. So, I think it's quite fun with a locked groove, although of course you have to have a special kind of turntable to be able to enjoy it. You have to have a manual turntable. For many years, most people mostly had automatic turntables with auto return. When the tone arm gets to the end of the record, it is automatically either lifted up or even lifted up and return. And then the motor would stop. But if you have a manual turntable, you could always enjoy the joy of the locked groove and what was recorded there as a nice little kind of gimmick. Although, in some cases, maybe it isn't that good idea to have something recorded in the locked groove. And I'm now talking about an experience from my childhood that, of course, well, it didn't create a scar, but it made me really hesitant to play a particular record. One of the short clips in the start of this video, you heard Fozzie Bear. It was from The Muppet Show, and this is the album The Muppet Show 2. And the record ends with everybody leaving the theater, and poor Fozzie Bear accidentally being locked in, and he helps and cries for help to be let out of the locked up theater. There are clips of this on YouTube, and somebody commented that this gave me nightmares as a kid. And yeah, sometimes an audio experience like that can be a bit disturbing for children. And I have a similar example here. Behind me you see a children's record called Fem myror är fler än 4 elefanter. 5 ants are more than 4 elephants. And this was a very popular TV series when I grew up. And well, today many talk about the fact that they learned the different letters of the alphabet from this show. It was everybody in Sweden knows about this, of course, but for those of you who don't, it was the comedians Magnus Härenstam and Brasse Brännström. I've talked about them before in this channel, and the actress Eva Remius, who made this series, which consisted of, well, sketches, comedy sketches and songs, show numbers about the different letters of the alphabet. A bit of a Swedish version of, well, Sesame Street, perhaps. Although I've seen Sesame Street, and I have to say that this is way better. Still holds up very good because they were professional comedians, those who write the scripts. And 2 albums were also issued, because this was, of course, way before people had video recorders and way long before you could actually stream the whole old episodes online to see them again. So many bought these records as well. And we have a locked groove on the end of side 1 here. And it is an elephant played by Brasse Brännström, who tells everybody that, okay, now this side is over, this side is over, you have to turn the record. And then when the needle goes into the lock groove, it says, turn the record, I told you, turn the record, I told you, turn the record, I told you, or vänd sa jag, vänd sa jag, vänd sa jag, really angrily. And well, I'm going to play it to you here, if you bear with me. Oops. This is... Bear with me.
Nu är det slut på den här sidan. Vänd.
Now it's this record side is over. Turn around, and the needle, the stylus goes towards the locked groove. Here we go.
Vänd, sa jag. Vänd, sa jag. Vänd, sa jag. Vänd.
Well, of course, just the sound of that angry elephant can be a bit scary for a sensitive child, but here comes the big thing. When I grew up, I had this record, and I was a sensitive child. But the problem is we didn't have a manual record player. We had one with an auto stop, and the simplest kind, not the kind that lifts up the tone knob at the end of the record, but that just switches off the record player. And of course that means that the needles enters the locked groove at a very, very slow, a very, very slow rotation. So I'm going to I'm going to make some sort of simulation of what it might have sounded like, because I'm going to switch off the motor manually here, but I'm going to leave the needle in the groove, and you can hear what it sounds like. Right. Not the nicest audio experience for a sensitive child. First time I heard this, I was scared stiff, and I refused to listen to the record again for many, many years. So, people out there, when you produce vinyl albums, of course, not that many produce vinyl albums for children anymore, but be careful with the locked grooves. They can create nightmares for sensitive children. Bye for now.